everyone, Andy Schwab here with your Farm and Ranch News. Last week, U.S. Senator Steve Daines successfully added an ag amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. The amendment would prevent foreign adversaries such as China from purchasing U.S. farmland without formal approval. However, I posed a question to Senator Steve Daines on how this could affect the trade relationship with America's largest trading partners. He said the legislation is aimed at stopping possible espionage before it starts and found to work with Montana producers to continue the trade relationships.
My bill that was included in the NDAA to blacklist adversaries like China and Russia from buying up farmland surrounding important military operations is about stopping possible espionage before it even starts. Trade relationships overseas remain important to Montana producers, and I'll keep fighting to reduce the barriers to important markets for our Montana farmers and ranchers. But at the same time, we're going to protect our national security.
That amendment was co-sponsored by Senator Daines, Tester, and Wyoming Cynthia Lummis. Well, the U.S. Lamb Checkoff is urging producers and feeders, that is, to complete the Sustainability Practical Survey so that the American Lamb Board has current and accurate data. Peter Camino, ALB Chair from Buffalo, Wyoming, says, "We've all seen the data that came out a few years ago, which the industry must correct with what's actually really happening on U.S. sheep farms and ranches." More of that info is available on our website, northernag.net. Well, join me shortly in a little bit to look at your ag markets.
We asked Montana farmer Walt Sales about the challenges of mental health in agriculture.
Another drought, there always is. There's always going to be another something. I grew up in a generation of you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, but it's become evident is what do you do if you can't even find those bootstraps? If you need to talk to somebody, go to beyondtheweather.com for free counseling for Montana ag producers.
Welcome back, friends, to your ag news and your markets. Cattle Fax recently released their long-term outlook that included the price outlook for next year. Of course, prices throughout the cattle and beef supply have been able to push the highest levels in history, and with a progressively tightening supplies, they will likely continue to be higher throughout the next few years. How high, though? Well, Cattle Fax says the calculations projected the fed steers at nearly $2 a pound on average in 2024, and 550-pound steer calves, well, they might average $3.15 a pound, and on the high end, approaching that $3.50 mark. That's actually going to be about $50 a hundredweight increase from 2023. Now, Cattle Fax wrapped up with their projections by saying that while demand will certainly play a role, the driving trend behind those prices will continue to be the tighter cattle and beef supplies at all levels of the supply chain. Well, bringing it back to the current markets, packers and feedlots continued their stare down into Friday afternoon. Today, traders will try to figure out how many of those cattle were actually purchased in the negotiations and what it could mean for this week's market. Also from last week, the sale barns were really on their summer schedule and really stood aside for the Northern Livestock Summertime Classic sale. That, of course, reduced the head counts to some of the sale barns, and they did have a good test of coal cows at Western Livestock. Looking at the sheep markets, prices did slip a little bit lower at Sioux Falls last week. Finished lambs once again held the high head count. Now, grain markets end of the week on a softer note after a really strong start. For the row crops, they saw the biggest drops headed into the weekend, while the wheat complex did their best to battle back towards that steady trend. Well, that's all for Ag News and Markets. I'm Andy Schwab. Have a great rest of your day.